Hello everybody, it's Wyvern here with another bit of Total War Warhammer 2 Quick Match gameplay. This time round we are on the chill flow, playing as the Force of Norsca against the Force of Chaos. And for this match, well, the Troll Wars are on, because both sides are going to be bringing quite the Troll Force in an effort to wrest control of this icy domain from the other. Now, for this build, I really wanted to take advantage of the new and reworked War Mammoth with the War Shrine, which has gotten much cheaper, now has Encourage as well. I wanted to take advantage of it to the fullest and make a solid troll build. So, of course, we are going to be rocking Throg. He's the Troll King. Not much else to be said for him. He's, of course, a mighty combatant, solid combat stats, decent mobility. He has Frostbite, which helps offset the relatively low speed. Bonus switch charge of 28 lets him hit pretty hard. He's got regen, he's got solid armor. And, you know, he does have some decent boosts with Foe Seeker, with Fight or Die, which can help keep his troops in the fight. So we've got layered leadership buffs here, and the Wintertooth Crown, which can make nearby allies unbreakable. So potentially these trolls can have the buffs from the War Mammoth, they can have buffs from Throg, and stacked on top of each other, this will hopefully create a overlapping field of leadership, essentially. Now, besides that, we do have a familiar Battlefield of Shadows coming in with the Penumbral Pendulum. I was expecting perhaps some more elite infantry, wanted something to deal with them quicker. Enfeebling Foe as well, nice little debuff, helps win those sort of key engagements against elite troops, like, for example, Kolek or something like that. From the Mist, which is probably a mistake against Chaos, because you don't really need the extra missile resist, but I figured just in case we see some Fireball spam or something like that, it'll be nice. Evasion for survivability, and Arcane Conduit for the Winds of Magic. Frontline is dirt cheap. 3 units of Marauders are it, and they're just slightly Chevron because we had leftover money, but really not going to be doing a huge amount. They're really just there as a screen for the 3 units of Ice Trolls that are rocking up behind them, and these bad boys do have pretty excellent, I would say, combat stats. They've got 60 armor, which isn't terrible. They do have Frostbite. They do have 120 weapon strength AP, and they do have solid charge bonus and solid melee attack and defense. 38 is really nothing to sneeze at. 32 melee defense is solid as well. So add this on their respectable combat stats, and yeah, they're quite the force, though they are very flammable. So Chaos, with its fire magic, can be a serious threat. Besides that, we do have the War Mammoth with the War Shrine towering over the battlefield here with those buffs that it's providing. Giver of Glory can buff a specific unit, make it much more potent at dishing out damage and sticking around. Favor of the Ruinous Powers, of course, grants extra leadership to everyone around me, and Encourage will provide an extra leadership bubble alongside Throg, so potentially have more Encourage than normally I would. We do have a whole bunch of Marauder Horsemen here. Some Horsemasters thrown into the mix as well. Though it's certainly not the most impressive skirmish force. I would have liked to have some more Horsemasters here, but unfortunately just couldn't afford it. We do have the Beasts of Tashnar, though. Regiment around Doggos with Frenzy and Bonus Force Large. For my opponent, who is coming in with the opposing Troll Force, we do have Archeon, Lord of the End Times, coming in. He's got Cascading Fire Cloak. He's got the Slayer of Kings, of course, which is a monstrous self buff. Standard Die, which is a great melee defense buff, as well as leadership buff. And then the Crown of Domination, which, once again, helps those trolls stick around with the immunity to psychology, with the leadership. So if my Death Ball with Throg and Mammoths and all that is getting into the fight here with armored trolls, he's going to be able to keep them in the fight better. Now, besides that, well, there is a Sorcerer of Shadows who is rolling up alongside Archeon. He does have Enfeebling Foe. He does have Melkos Miasma, so looking more to snare my units, slow them down, make them more vulnerable. And, of course, Mist and Smoke and Mirrors, which can help you move a little faster, potentially help me get some engagements here on my horsemen, who are trading tit for tat here with the Horsemasters, but this is definitely not a great situation. I have a lot of horsemen, and Horsemasters are just very good at trading in these cavalry fights. They slightly outrange horsemen, and they've got that 50 armor, which really lets them trade far above their weight class with my horsemen. So I'm actually going to try to fall back here, especially with the Warhounds with Poison in pursuit. I really don't want to engage that, so we're going to fall back. In the meantime, my front line is looking to engage, because my opponent's front line is a bit squishier than mine. It's simply a force of Marauders, a little wider than mine, but not chevroned. The Mirror Guard on the flank, securing things there, and then 3 units of Armored Trolls. So we're going to pile drive here into the middle, right down the pipe with the Familiar Balefiend, with Throg just plowing into these Marauders. Going to give them a very bad day, especially with the War Mammoth coming in alongside them. And now we are very much looking to engage in this bit of a pit fight here. Marauders will certainly not last very long on the flanks, but the Trolls are going to anchor things. And I do believe Norscan Ice Trolls will actually beat Armored Trolls in a sustained combat, because they do have slightly better combat stats. They don't have the armor, but the armor doesn't really matter when both units are rocking AP damage. And they do hit a bit harder with better charge bonus than the Trolls. So that is something worth keeping in mind. Here in the pits, in the meantime, you can see the Giver of Glory is going down to these Ice Trolls. That will actually let them hit harder against their Troll brethren here. So, because, of course, Trolls do have regen. So that's definitely a solid buff. Unfortunately, the Marauders are just not holding at all. And we are going to see a Penumbral Pendulum here sweeping through, doing a bit of damage, but really it was a cautious cast and didn't really pay off. I didn't really need to cast that. Over here, in the meantime, horsemen are going to try to collapse in on these hounds. I was looking to get a quick snag and knock these guys out. So we're going to collapse on these warhounds and hopefully rout them very, very quickly. And you can see the leadership there buckles rather fast, but unfortunately my opponent is quick on the draw and pulls the horsemasters into this melee engagement with the hounds in pursuit. And unfortunately, I just wasn't ready for it. I actually committed my warhounds over here on this flank. They're only now coming in to help. And now with everything caught with poison, Melkos Miasma going down, we are not able to hold here. I do drop an Enfeebling Foe on one of these Horsemasters. We are going to get Beasts of Tashnor in there, but it's too late. My Horsemen are routing, and the Horsemasters won't be long for this world. Neither will the Horsemen. The Sorcerer will get in there, and all of a sudden things are looking rather dire. That said, balance of power is in my favor, and that's because this pit fight is going decisively in my way. The Trolls are routing because they are Trolls, and without Archaon around earlier to support them, they can't hold their ground at all. One unit is routed completely, one is routing a lot now. These Trolls over here are getting ground down by the Fimir, by the Marauders, and their Ice Troll brethren, so they're not having a great time. Winter Tooth Crown going down to keep my troops in the fight. These Trolls that were wavering are going to stick around through thick and thin. And Throg is actually trading rather well into Archaon. Archaon doesn't have anything here to give him fire damage, so he's not actually hitting Throg as hard as he could. Certainly Slayer of Kings helping a huge amount, up to 476, or up to 926, sorry, weapon strength. But Throg is able to sort of fight him off, and Archaon is forced to back off there. The Trolls unfortunately are going to start wavering here and collapsing, and the Mammoth is really starting to suffer. The Enfeebling Foe going down on it is weakening it greatly. Archaon is going hard in the paint for this Mammoth, trying to put it down. I think my opponent at this point realized that this leadership bubble that it's providing needs to go if he is to deal with all the Trolls, and so the Horsemasters are focusing down on this Mammoth, and there isn't much I can do because I screwed up with that early engagement and lost my horsemen. So yeah, that sucks. And so now the hounds are basically chasing me off. I do have the Beast of Tashnor coming back, who should be able to mop that up, but too little too late. The horsemen are gone. My Mammoth will rout here. The War Mammoth is going to break under that sustained fire, and although we do get a nice little snag here on Archaon, diving deep for him, getting Enfeebling Foe on the Lord of the End Times, it's not going to be enough here. Throg is not going to be able to land those finishing blows. Standard die plus Cascading Fire Cloak, giving him 84 melee defense. Throg just can't breach that. And Archaon does manage to stick around here and perform rather well. In the meantime, the Fimir Belfiend, as well as the Norsca Ice Trolls, continue piling through the infantry. My opponent really doesn't have much to crack this bubble effectively. He does have the Horsemasters, but they are starting to run out of ammo. And while the Mammoth is gone, the low ammo here is going to be a problem. Now, over here, we are going to commit to try to mop up the Warhounds, the Beasts of Tashnor, plus the remaining Horsemen here doing some work, but really, probably a misplay. I should have tried to just do this with the Beast of Tashnor and left the Horsemen on the periphery, try to get some shots in on the Horsemasters to whittle them down. Balance of power, though, still sitting tight in the middle. And I figured if my opponent can run out of ammo, if we can run my opponent out of ammo here, we can certainly still scrape out the victory. Because, well, he doesn't have much to charge the Trolls down. He doesn't really have anything to deal with Throg. Throg is in the pits here, slugging it out. It is troll on troll violence. The Ice Trolls just crushing the Mirror Guard as well as their Armored Troll brethren. And with Throg just towering over all other Trolls, is a really quite a brutal slaughter. And Norsca is definitely able to take this. We are definitely winning this fight here in the pits, despite the missile pressure coming in. Yes, some of the Trolls are routing, and that is going to be a problem now because I'm not able to get, I actually didn't get my fight or die in time. I was really hoping to get that off, and that would have kept my Trolls in the fight, but now they are all going to rout, and that will open the opportunity for my opponent to take his Horsemasters and run my Trolls off the field. So that is disaster striking there. Now, that said, Archaon is near dead. Balance of power is a bit in my favor. Ammunition on these guys is starting to run low. The infantry is being run off. Throg and the Balefiend are still a decent combo. They are still able to run these guys off the field. Beasts of Tashnor are hovering on the periphery, and now are going to be looking to get some cheeky attacks on the Trolls, who are of course large, so they can get some good damage in there. And although we're going to get jabbed down here slowly but surely, and my Trolls are unfortunately removed from play, balance of power is still okay. We do have some Trolls rallying in the far distance there on 3 models and 1200 HP, so they're not going to be of much value. Over here you can see I'm trying to catch my opponent's elites, get them off the field. I think a bit of a misplay here from my opponent's part, trying to focus Throg out. It could have probably focused the Balefiend out completely and gotten rid of my magic, but I'm not entirely sure. It's obviously a bit of a tough sell. Throg is much squishier, but he does have that missile or the regen. The Fimir is a bit lower HP, but it does have missile resist, which offsets that. So here we are going to finally get on top of the Chaos Trolls, get a surround. Archaon is nowhere to be seen, and obviously he doesn't want to risk this fight. And so with the Beast of Tashnar in the mix, we will break these guys, and the Trolls get completely shattered. So that is a big win for the Force of Norsca, who are at this point basically 2 units. I'm not even sure where the 34 models are coming from. That's probably the Marauders who are in full route over here. But obviously that's not going to be winning us any beauty contests. But with the Trolls run off, I'm going to sort of run away. We're avoiding fighting the Marauder Horsemasters. My opponent now looking for an opening here, waiting for his Chaos Sorcerer to come back. That is a smart decision, I think, because the Chaos Sorcerer here of Shadows is a decent fighter, and he can help supplement this force here. Throg trying to chase these Marauders because I want to get rid of all this supporting chaff. I want to be able to snipe them out, remove them from play. The last few Javelins do go in. The Marauders, though, will rout. And so it's going to be a little bit of Benny Hill action here. As my opponent is reforming ranks, he's trying to regroup his troops, routes the Trolls with mere proximity. I'm trying to get on top of the slow troops because obviously I cannot catch any of the fast guys. I just don't have any tools to do that. But my opponent is, of course, going to engage here. He's not looking to kite this one out or anything. Throg is going to get in on the Marauder Horsemasters, but we do see Enfeebling Foe going down. Archaon is going to die. Scroll shielding on him. Standard die on him. And he does start pounding here. Throg down to 2100 HP, dropping fast. We do see the Cascading Firecloak go down on Archaon. Throg trying to snipe Archaon down. The lure of the end times down to 400 HP. Throg swing like mad, just trying to land those blows. Dropping Archaon down to 438. So close. Familiar Balefiend also holding in there. Wintertooth Crown keeping everybody in the fight. Archaon drops to 200 HP. I'm not even sure why. I guess it's the damage being split amongst the surrounding troops. And Throg does fall. And that is only going to leave the Familiar here. Archaon is going to get hit there by the Penumbral Pendulum, doing 10 more damage to him. But at this point, it is too little too late. Game over. And the Force of Norsca will be shattered. And I am driven from the field. So, a brutal back-and-forth game that really saw, well, quite the slaughter, with both armies essentially reduced to nothing by the end of it. Really, I think the biggest misplay on my part in that game, and what really cost me the game, more so than composition, because I don't think either of our compositions were super tryhardy. My opponent went with Trolls, which aren't necessarily the most tryhard composition. I went with Trolls, which isn't necessarily the most tryhard thing. I think the biggest misplay was simply the fact that I committed all my Horsemen and Horsemasters into that big cavalry pit fight, and my opponent just had better tools for that. Chaos Sorcerer of Shadows was in there. He had the 3 Horsemasters, which are far better than Horsemen, plus 2 Chaos Warhounds with poison, which, well, I really only had the Horsemasters and the Beast of Tashnar, which is really not as potent of a force. Really not able to dish out the amount of hurt. So my opponent just dominated that, and after that was done, the Horsemasters then had free reign to chip away at my War Mammoth, which was just a rough situation. So definitely well played there on my opponent's part, and I think that was really what sealed the deal. That said, as long as the War Mammoth sort of towered over the battlefield, that behemoth, it was able to keep the Trolls in the fight, and the Trolls, as long as they're fighting, Trolls have some excellent combat stats. They're not a bad fighting unit. They just tend to break the leadership laws. And so in this situation, my opponent was able to kill the leadership, essentially. Throg still provides a leadership bubble, but I didn't have the crown. I didn't have fight or die left, so I didn't have anything to keep the Norsca Trolls from collapsing once this round happened. And that probably cost me the game, because I essentially lost the War Mammoth, which snowballed into the loss of 2 Ice Trolls, which is a major loss for me. If I had even one more unit of Ice Trolls on the field at the end, I think it could have actually made a bit of a difference. Plus, it would have been some Javelins to tank. That would have meant Throg had more HP going into the late game. But oh well, what can you do? For my opponent's build, I think it's a cool build. It's always great to see Trolls take the field. I do think, much like here, I think the War Mammoth rework, and of course Throg, enables Trolls to perform a bit better than they normally would. Similarly, I think Archaon is a great choice if you're looking to back your Troll mob. Unfortunately, I think, and this was a bit of a misplay on my opponent's part, I think, perhaps, he didn't really have Archaon near his Chaos Trolls. He did end up throwing Archaon into that fight. By the time he did, the Chaos Trolls were already largely routed. And so it was too late, really. I think Archaon needed to be in that fight or near that fight sooner to keep those Trolls in the fray, help keep them fighting my Ice Trolls, keep them bogging down the Mammoth. Because it's not like Archaon was helping in this cavalry fight. So he could have definitely been there. But I think that was the only real major misplay there from my opponent. Perhaps some of the Javelin focus fire could have been better or worse on some different units. But regardless, very well played with the Marauder Horsemasters, really exploiting my mistake there with the Light Cav. And Sea of Star really ground out at the end there. Really waited for that combo with Archaon, nuked down Throg, and took the win. So that was a very well played game. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. As usual, leave your thoughts, opinions, comments, and critiques down below. I'm always looking forward to what you guys have to say. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye for now.